Why, hello everyone. How are you doing today? Today I would like to go over a non-technical review for another one of my telescopes. And this is probably my most often used telescope because I consider this telescope my jack of all trades telescope, except for a very specific situation. This telescope is my NexStar 8SE. This is my favorite telescope because I use it all the time. I use it to observe many different things. I've used it in astrophotography, I've used it for visual astronomy, and in most of the cases, especially when it comes to astrophotography, I have been able to observe what I would like for it to observe. First off, let me show you the NexStar 8SE. This is a Schmidt Cassegrain telescope, and I'm not going to go into details about the science behind that, but this is a telescope. It's an extremely smallish telescope with about an 8-inch aperture, and all the aperture is the basically the length across the lens, and that this is 8 inches, and that just indicates how much light the the telescope can collect when observing a particular object. The larger the aperture, the dimmer objects you can see, which you can see with the telescope. But there's a price to that because one of the rules that I use in astronomy is that if the telescope is too heavy or too inconvenient to use in terms of whether you're in an apartment or a house and you have to move the telescope because it's too heavy or it's too cumbersome to actually use, you're not going to use it, or you're only going to use it for very specific situations. And the reason I say that is because one of the things I love about this telescope is that it is not heavy. It comes with, well, it doesn't come with, but you can purchase a case that you can use in your car, and it's not a cumbersome to use. You can use it. You can use it with different types of mounts, whether it will be an equatorial mount or an azimuth mount. And overall, I've just had a wonderful experience with it. The telescope. Now, what I mean by size is, as you can see, it's extremely, well, it doesn't look like it's small, but it is small. So let me show you my Newtonian telescope, or at least what it looks like. Move this. As you can see, this is my Newtonian telescope. This has a 12-inch aperture, and look how it is as it compares to my size. This is a very big and heavy telescope. Now I use this when I want to look at galaxies, but as you can see, it's very heavy. It's very cumbersome to use, and oftentimes I don't feel like going through the trouble of traveling with that telescope when I can use my much smaller, as you can see, as it relates to my size. See how much smaller it is? How much lighter it is as it relates to my, as the NexStar 8SE relates to my size. It is a much easier telescope to use. And therefore, when I recommend telescopes to beginner astronomers or people interested in the hobby, or even advanced astronomers who are looking for telescopes that are easy to travel with, easy to put together, easy to use, I oftentimes will recommend the NexStar 8SE because not only is it light, which is one of the tent poles of telescopes, it has an aperture that allows you to see most of the objects that you would like to see it is a jack of all trades telescope, and it's not that expensive compared to other telescopes. It has a very reasonable economic price. Now, what are the downsides to this telescope? Well, remember in the beginning when I talked about astrophotography? So what I found is that when I tried to take pictures of the moon, the field of view was very large, was very small in compared to the moon. So I wasn't able to get full moon shots, and therefore I had to go to my another telescope in order to get full moon shots. But that is a small negative as compared to the overall experience I've had with the telescope. Because in most instances when it came to astrophotography, I've been able to take pictures of the planet. I've been able to take pictures of Jupiter. I've been able to take pictures of Venus. I've been able to take pictures of Mars. I've been able to take pictures of Saturn. And I was able to do all of this within city lights. And I was able to get excellent pictures of them. And because of that, I love this telescope. I use it all the time. And therefore, because of my experiences and because of all the numerous things that I was able to observe with this telescope, I consider this telescope my jack of all trades telescope. And if you're looking to get into the hobby, if you're looking, as I like to say, a plug and play telescope that you can use for many years and you don't have to worry about, okay, I need to get another telescope, I would recommend this telescope. I would recommend the NexStar 8SE. And then once you figure out what you would like to observe for more specific uses, then you can get your telescope. Then you can get another telescope to fit that specific need. But if you decide, well, I don't need to do that, I don't want to do that, or I can't afford to do that, this telescope will allow you to look at everything you would like to look at reasonably well, and you will have a wonderful experience with this telescope. And therefore, that is my recommendation for the NexStar 8SE. And I hope this video has helped you, and I will see you again.